Again, I'm Larry, and I'm with the Romer Art Center, and we're going to be doing a whale shark. And a whale shark's pretty interesting project, as you're going to see here, is that they're huge. I don't know if you know much about whale sharks, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information about whale sharks before we start drawing it. So, and it is, I was going to wait a minute or so, but I think we should just get started and people can join in as they come. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you and show you some images of whale sharks. Okay, let me just see if I can do this. And it's view full screen. Okay, there we go. So what we've got here is we've got this whale shark, and they're about anywhere from 30 to 40 feet long, so almost bigger than a school bus. And they have a lot of teeth, and you can see some of them here, but their teeth really are not, they don't bite, really. They're very much a kind of vacuum cleaner, if you think about it, and you'll see some pictures. You can see their eye right there, their eye is right by their mouth, unlike, let's say, some of the other, like a great white shark, their eyes are farther back. I'm going to go to the next slide here. And here you can kind of see, again, there's lots of fish around them. You can kind of get an idea of their size based on some of these fish that are fairly big. So whale sharks are anywhere from, they're tons. They're the biggest of the sea creatures out there. I'm going to go to the next. There you go. That's kind of an interesting picture because they have what's called a symbiotic relationship. And so they let different fish kind of help clean up their skin and their scales. These fish are cleaning out, they're eating what's left over kind of. And there's some that are alongside the bottom here. There's a bunch inside his mouth, her mouth. So you can kind of get an idea there. Now, this gives you kind of a better idea of it kind of sucking things in, and that's kind of what it does. And then you can see a human above there. You get an idea of the scale, how big these whale sharks are. Again, these are that symbiotic. The whale shark does not mind these fish kind of hanging out, and they basically clean up after. And you can see kind of the pattern, and we're going to be working on this as we draw, that it's got kind of a dot pattern, which is kind of a camouflage. So as they don't really have predators, but a great white shark or some other creatures may want to try to attack them. As they're looking down on them, they blend into the sea bottom. As they look up at them, they're kind of a solid gray, so they look like the surface. So they have this natural kind of camouflage for the sea. Here again is another picture, just getting kind of the idea of the size of them. And you can get just kind of a feeling for how huge these whale sharks are. Again, you can see their buddies along here, and you can see that people come and they're friendly enough. This is still a time where up until right about this time of year, from mid-June to the end of July, you can go swim with the whale sharks. So you can go out, and you have to sometimes go out about 15 minutes, maybe 50 miles out to sea to be able to see where these whale sharks, and they let humans come swim with them, pet them, basically. They're very sweet creatures. Just giving you an idea. So a pup is really small here. And then it gets to be 5 meters, which is like 15 feet when they're a juvenile. Mature adult can be 9 meters, which would be about 27 feet. A large adult is can be 36 feet, And then here, this is 18, so this is gonna be over 50 feet, the very large males. Just to put it into perspective, how large they are, let's look at, this is a whale shark. This is a great white shark. And people think how huge great white sharks are. Well, they're small compared to the whale shark. Now, this is megalodon, and from prehistoric times. So a whale shark is about the same size as megalodon would be. I think that's the end of my presentation on whale sharks. All right, so is everybody ready to get drawing? Give me a thumbs up. Yep, everybody's got their materials. I'm gonna check, I'm gonna switch my camera. And we're gonna be using pencils. I've got a couple different ones. Now, when we start drawing today, let's just remember we want to kind of start light. Now, when I'm drawing, I'm going to draw a lot darker so you guys can see it. Okay, but start light so it's easy to erase if you're going to do it. Now, this is the one I did, and it's all pencil. I did pencil drawing, and then I used a watercolor for the background. And that's kind of what we're going to be, the project we're going to be doing today. You can absolutely color your whale shark in. They're all different sorts of colors. When we're done today, I'll show you one of the paintings I did recently of a whale shark. So we'll kind of start by, first of all, sketching it out. I'm going to show you another drawing that I did of a whale shark. So I'm going to give us some different options. Okay, this is just him going straight back. I kind of got bored with that one, so then I went with this one, which has his tail moving. But as you saw from the pictures, most of the time they're just kind of cruising along. You can choose how you want to do the tail. I'll show both ways, okay? So we'll all start together and then I'll kind of give some different options. All right, so let's get started. I'm just going to move my drawing over here. All right. And my camera, of course, is going to wait until I can start drawing before it gets nice and clear. So let's start by getting the name and date. I'm going to put my name on my bottom, and it's, I'm Larry. Today's date is 9/18, right? There we go. Okay. So let's get the name and date on your picture. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start, and I'll show you the picture up here. We're going to start with the shape of the mouth. Okay, so I go like this. I'm just going to lightly do it first. Okay, now I'll show it darker. So as you can see, I started kind of light. I'll just have my example right above me here, so you can kind of see what I'm working on here, okay? So we just want the shape like that. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we want to build our drawings. So the first thing you want to do is once you start getting the shapes, is you're just going to lightly draw them in. And then as we move on, we'll add details as we do more layers as we're going. So I'm going to move it up there so you can kind of see. And then I'm going to come with a line, and it's this line right here. And I'm just going to come straight up like that. And it's just a little line. And then we're going to do a shape. Like this. And I'm going to come from the bottom. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm coming from right here. And I'll come along and I'm making this mouth. And I come to the end of that mouth there, and then I start coming back. So that's the beginning of our whale shark. So we have the mouth. We have the shape here. That's the main body. Now, does everybody have, give me a thumbs up if everybody's got a mouth and a body. Yep, looks like everybody's got it. Perfect. Cool. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I want to start getting some little things that will help us orientate where everything else is going to go. So I'm going to start with her eye. I say her, and it's just going to be on this, come a little bit over here, and I'll start with a little circle right there. Okay. So just start nice and light. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to come over right to where that eye is with a curved line like this. I'm coming right, almost touching it. I'm going to touch it so you can kind of see that I am touching it. Okay, then we're going to take this line and we're going to gently, I'm sketching it lightly here. And I'm going to come over to like that. So I come like that, and then I'll make it a little bit darker so everybody can see it. This is the top of our whale shark. This is her belly. So we want to lightly go in and create where everything is, because then what happens is if we look at our drawing and we say, oh, this looks good, but it's a little bit off, it's easy to erase and to change things. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come right about here, and I'm going to do some lines for her gills. Just kind of come over here with a couple of lines, like 4. And that also then tells me where its fin is going to be. This is a dorsal fin up here. Tail fin, of course. This is the arm fin, which my mind goes blank, but it's the fin for the arm. And what we're going to do here is now we're going to draw it. So what I do is I make 2 dots, and then I know where I want to kind of come, I orientate myself. Okay, here's my second dot, but look at where the fin comes out to. So then I put my 3rd dot over here. Okay, so you can see, you take, and this is when I look at things, I make those, and that's right there. So I know how far it is. Yep, that looks good. So then I make a curved line out to here. Curving. Now curve this over for the fin. Now you can make it to a point, you can make it a little bigger, a little smaller. And there, we're just getting that first fin there. We continue orientating, and look, you can see that the tip of this fin is where its dorsal fin is. So you make your pencil, you come straight back like this. I'm putting my pencil like that, and that tells me where it's going to be. So it's going to be right up here is where it starts. So I come right here, and it's not a huge dorsal fin, as you saw from the pictures. And I'm just sketching that in right there. So we've got the mouth, we've got the body, we've got the belly, and now we have 2 fins, right? Everybody have those fins? Yep. Now, if you want to go, we're going to do our drawing of it going just straight back first, so people can see. I'm going to show you. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be taking a look, and from the dorsal fin, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the dorsal fin's there, right? So then I come just a little bit over, and that's where its bottom fin is going to be. So I come like this, and then I know I'm going to make a little dot, and it's on this line here. It's not on the belly, it's right there. And it comes down, it's just a little triangle. And then the second fin, right here, I just come down. Come back, it's a little bit smaller. So I'm just doing the two triangles right now. Now, I'm going to continue back with its like this. You can see that. And then we're going to look at the tail fin. And the tail fin, as we're coming, now it has fin right up here. And its relationship is right in between those two. So you just kind of go like that. Okay, so I'm going to slow down, make sure everybody's got the fins going. So we should all have the mouth, the eye, fin, dorsal fin, and he's got 3 back fins there before we get to the tail fin. So guys, let me know if you guys are ready to move on. Give me a thumbs up if you, yeah, cool, awesome, all right. So I'm going to then come over here and I'm just going to take, and I want to come back. The top part of its tail fin is a lot larger than the bottom part. So what I do is I come over like this, just coming back. See, I don't have the right angle. His angle, the angle should be, if you're looking at this, the angle is kind of sharper like this. So I kind of come like that. There we go. So you want to come back, and then this is going to come. So you can see that you have these 2 lines to start with. Now look where they connect. They don't connect up here. They connect almost at the bottom here. So this is where I'm going to come. I'm going to come from this like that. And then I know that's where they're going to connect. So this one comes down and then straight down like that. So it comes like that. And then this one, and I'll have to come out a little bit, comes in. So you can kind of adjust the fin. Okay. Now, if we were looking at, I'll just grab a quick piece of paper here and show you, if you wanted to do the curve, oops, just lost a pencil. Is I'm just going to quickly kind of sketch this out here so you can kind of see. Now that's where we were with our shapes, and you had the dorsal fin here. So the curve comes like this. So you want to curve it. And then what you do is this fin, it curves. You can see with this curve where it is with the dorsal fin here. So what you do, guys, is you come over and you come down, and it's a little foreshortening, meaning that this little tail part looks a little bit less. This one, I'm making a dot here. This is going to come up. And back. So then you have, oh, I lost the tip of my, so you can see how it curves. And that's the curve if you want to. It's up to you. You can kind of see how that looks versus this. We're going to continue on then here. Is everybody ready to start adding some details? We should have all the kinds of main part of our WhaleShark complete here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by looking at the different areas here. So I'm going to start right over here. And I want to maybe make it a little bit rounder up here. And I'm going to make my dorsal fin a little bigger. I'll use my eraser. I want this little fin here to come back, more of an angle like that. So as I'm going to start looking at all the different parts to make sure everything is in relationship to each other. Okay, I like this. I'm going to come over with his. So you just want to go ahead and I can erase some of the lines I don't want. I'm using I sometimes will use my kneadable eraser. What's nice about kneadable erasers when you're using them is that they don't leave crumbs like your regular eraser, which right now, of course, I can't find on my regular eraser. Oh, there I see him. He was hiding. So I could do either one. But you can see how that leaves crumbs, the other one doesn't. So what we want to do now is let's go ahead and look at the eye. We go ahead and looked at our fins. I'm going to go ahead and erase some of my lines here. Still. So I'm in kind of a good spot for doing the next steps. So then what I want to do is I'm going to take a look at the eye. And I want to come and I'm just going to make a little upside down U shape above the eye. And then I'm going to kind of darken in my eye a little bit. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to erase some of these lines and just kind of get these little folds in here. Okay. Now, one of the things that I see here is that his mouth. So I want to work on the mouth, and it kind of comes like this. So it comes out at a little more of an angle there. So I'm making that adjustment. This comes out a little bit like that. So you kind of see there's a little bit of a V there. And then I'll add this coming there from the V. There we go. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice, and when we looked at the pictures, you could see it, is whale sharks have some lines that go this way, and there's lines that come this way. And so what we want to do is to give the idea of its dimension that it's round. We're going to come and we're going to start after his fin here, and we're going to come from here, and you want to do this curve. You can see how I'm curving this like this. Now continue to curve it. You don't have to do really dark, but you want to curve these lines. Okay. So we have the first group of lines that are curved. Everybody have those lines going good, right? Perfect. So then you got to think that you'll see it that these lines are pretty light. So you want to do kind of a light touch. I'm going to do it fairly light, but you'll still be able to see it on my drawing. Is they have lines that are going to come, and they're not straight lines, but they're kind of help with the camouflage. They come across and they're going to come And they're marking so that they don't necessarily have to follow there. Okay, so we should all have lines for its body, giving it that contour shape. And remember, like its belly, I'm going to be using my pencil like this. And I take my pencil and I hold it like this. And I can kind of shade very lightly its belly because it's kind of a light gray. Most of the whale sharks are kind of a blue gray with some different colors of green and red, browns in the dots, the dot pattern. And you can see I'm just going to kind of come over here and erase a couple of lines. I'll erase that other dorsal fin. And once we get done with the whale shark, we're going to add some of those symbiotic fish that go along with it. And then I'm going to give you an opportunity. In my drawing here, I added like a little sea turtle. It's really a very large sea turtle. That sea turtle is probably 1,000 pounds, 900-pound sea turtle. But when you've got 20-ton whale shark, it looks small. And one of the things that I like about this drawing is how do we make it let somebody know that this is a huge shark? If we just do a shark like this without something else in it, like a smaller fish or rocks or human, you're not going to know how big it is. So what you want to do, and it's called scale and proportion, we want to add certain things to our drawing to let the viewer know what is the size of the fish, of the shark. It's a mammal, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to start working on part of how we're going to create the texture of our whale shark. And as you're going to see, it's a pattern. And a pattern means that we're going to use the same kind of shape, which is circles. We're going to use the circle shape. And sometimes it's easier to start back here. And I'll show you why, is that the pattern's pretty easy back here. It gets to be very random when you get to the front of the shark. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some lines first onto my fin. I'm going to add some lines onto the dorsal fin. And those lines kind of curve along somewhat with the shape there. So then what I want to do is I'll see if I have a sharper pencil. I'll come over here and I'm going to start with a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and add my circles. Again, I'll add my circles. Going over here. As you're seeing, they're going to get a little bit smaller as they get farther away. So I've got my circles there. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be doing as I go through this is I'm going to be actually getting those in. Now, the circles, they continue onto the dorsal fin. They also continue here on his arm fin. You can decide how many you want. So we've created the pattern on the back. Now, as you start looking at the front of the shark, is that you want to go and you want to start and you do these circles and you're going to come across, they can touch, they can be different sizes. And I'm going to start by coming over some of them big, some of them small. And I always look at the circle. It's like learning to drive. When you do circles, you just watch your pencil, create the circle, and then each one of them can be almost a perfect circle. Now I'm going to come over here, do some half circles, some bigger ones. So what you want to do now, and one of the things, a pattern a lot of times I will do is I will add maybe a larger set of circles. You can do this all different ways. And then you kind of fill it in. It's kind of almost like a Zentangle for people. So I start with these big ones, and then I'm going to come, I'll add little ones. And the idea is that I'm going to continue adding circles until I have it totally filled in. So now I'm doing medium circles. So you can see that there's a way you can do it kind of randomly, like I'm doing here, where I start with just kind of filling in the gaps. Or as I started here, you can start from one side and just continue on adding different circles from the front to where you hit that first line that goes across it. So I'm going to do it kind of both ways here. I'm just kind of going circle, circle, circle. This is where we're adding this kind of layer. And one of the things you're going to think about is as we do it, you can even color some of them in. I usually wait till I have my whole pattern completed. Now, a pattern, sometimes people think, well, a pattern has to be symmetrical. That's a symmetrical pattern. This is kind of an asymmetrical pattern where it's a bunch of circles. And when you do more than 3 of anything, it can become a pattern. So this is one of those things in which the group of the circles, the 100 or so circles, maybe 150 circles that we're going to do, create this texture of our whale. So you want to continue to add all those circles, different size circles. Once you have all the circles, I would go back and start coloring some of them in. So you can see, I just want to stop for a moment. Thank you, because I was gonna switch my view here so I can kind of see what everybody's got, so I can kind of look at the. Wow, that's looking great. Kate, love those. Oh yes. Wow, I love all the circles. Tegan's screen, that looks great. I know that's not Tegan that just showed me, but those look great. And you can see that that's really cool. I just wanted to make sure everybody was, oh my goodness, that looks awesome. And a lot of times what happens when you do whale shark, because they're so big, they're going to go off the screen. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add a couple of things, and then I'm going to show you how to draw some of those little feeder fish around there too. So I'm going to take my pencil and I want to just kind of close his mouth in. You can use a Q-tip, your finger, but I'm just going to blend this a little bit. Get my lines here. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit so that it's not a real hard line. Now I'll just take this is called a paper blending stump to kind of get that. Now also, as you can see from this, their tail's got a bit of the color too. So I'm going to come over here, tail fin, using my pencil. I kind of just use it a couple different ways. I use and I'll blend it. Okay. Then I'm going to come back, making sure that I'm kind of at the right stage here, and I'm going to start just kind of coloring in some of my circles, not all of them. And this way, we're going to get kind of a nice patterns going here. I'm adding a little bit of color to the fins, then I'll blend it. And I'm just going to take it very gently, kind of blend some of my, I don't want to press real hard. I just kind of want to move the graphite a little bit around here, creating this nice little texture. And then I can see, okay, I need to get a few more. You can always just add some dots into, even if you're all done with the circles, say, oh, I need a few more circles. So I'm adding a few more circles here and there, creating these. I'll come in and see that I need some colored in down here. So you keep using your visual eye, and your eye will tell you where the circle should go. You need it darker. All right. So I think that I'm going to come back to my whale shark in a minute, but I want to show you guys the little feeder fish. They're not little. These are about 6-foot fish. These are very long, kind of slender fish that will have this symbiotic relationship with them. I'm going to draw one right down here so you can kind of see. And what I'm going to use is I want to make sure I get the scale right. It can't be too big. Doesn't want to be too small. I want to use a sharper pencil here. So I'm going to start like this, and they kind of follow along with the whale shark. So they're right next to it all the time. So I'm just going to start with this kind of U shape, C shape really, like that. And I'm going to come just kind of a typical, when you're looking at this, this is kind of, and the fish kind of has, and they have kind of this fin that goes up, down. It's just kind of a little fin. Their fins are going to come out straight across from each other, like that. So then you start, and then you want to do a bunch of them. As you saw in the pictures, there's all these fish that are next to it. And I'm going to start with at least 3, and I'll have some on top. You can also do some littler fish here. So I'm just trying to get, again, what we talked about earlier, scale and proportion. You want to have an idea for the viewer, how big is this fish? So then I'm going to have none coming over here. I have two of them actually behind here. So that we get these fish going. Now, you can also do, and I talked about this before, is looking at idea of like a sea turtle, giving them perspective. Now, a sea turtle, they're about 5 feet, sometimes 6 feet. That's about the same size as this fish right there. So we'd have a sea turtle, and we could have the sea turtle coming over here. And we just kind of start with this kind of oval shape, and then you make the spot for where its head's going to come out. And it's got the little oval head. When you look at like sea turtles, and I love painting and drawing sea turtles, is that the head is 1/4 the dimension of the shell. So, and that's when it's even sticking out a ways. Then the fins come right off the tip of the shell. These are the bigger fins here. They have smaller fins. Sea turtles do not have tails. They have cool patterns though. And you can kind of get an idea of the scale. So as I was doing that, I'll kind of do it again. I'll do another sea turtle for those people who are watching here. So you start, and do it a little bit slower. Start with just this kind of oval shape. It's more of an egg shape because it's bigger at the front where the head is, and the tail comes to like the tip of it. So it looks kind of like an egg. Then you make a backward C, and then you make his little head come out, her head sometimes. And the C then comes all the way around. Now, right from where the head comes is where the fins come. So the fins will come, and they're a little bit bigger. The front fins are definitely bigger than the back fins. And you can do a nice little pattern. So we got two little, maybe fairly big sea turtles kind of swimming by there. Now, you can also add coral or things, but the coral would have to be significantly small, because these are so big. So I'm just going to check, since I've been chatting here, I'm going to check to see how everybody is doing. And I'm just going to switch to the gallery. And if you guys want to share with me how you're doing, because I'm going to kind of just give you an idea in a second. Oh, yeah, that looks awesome. Beautiful. I love it. It's upside down. Turn it around. Kate's, there you go. Oh, I love that. Ruby. It's awesome. Now, it's funny because a lot of people, a lot of kids I talk to know about whale sharks from the Disney movie, and there's Destiny is the cute whale shark, and she is sweet, and whale sharks are pretty sweet. So one of the things I'm going to show you real quick here is we've got still about 15 minutes. I wanted to kind of share. I'm going to use some watercolor, and I'm going to leave my pencils drawing just as it is. I am not going to use any watercolor on my pencil drawing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some watercolor and color just the background. So you can use a palette. This I'm using is little tubes of watercolor. I forgot my, oops, there's something just dropped behind there. Never mind, it's somebody behind the curtain here. And so I'm going to be using this watercolor palette to show you. And all these watercolors that I have in a tube here are all dried out. So it's just like using a palette. I just add a little bit of water to the ones I want, like this. I'll use some blue and greens. Just adding a little bit of water to them now. So when I go about doing a background like this, what I like to do is I like to just go ahead and add a little bit of water first. Just add a little bit of water to where I want to go. And then I'll add very lightly. I want to make sure it's light. I'm going to get, okay. And then I'll come in with some color. And what I'm going to do is just kind of let the water run a little bit. And I don't want to cover it with watercolor, especially even if you're doing a background like this. You do not have to cover every space. So I'm just going to lightly go over this with just my blue to start with, and I'm going to come back and I'll add some more color underneath it. I'm going to go back and see if I can. Okay, so you can see it better. Okay, so I'm using my palette here. And then I'll use a little bit of blue. That's too dark. I can just lighten it up real quick here. Just getting kind of just, and what we're doing with this kind of process here is just trying to get nice kind of, and I'm going to add some a little bit more dimension on top here for color. And I'll come in and I'm going to add some of my colors in. So I want to kind of lighten it up a bit. So I'm going to make some green. I'm just using a yellow. And I'm kind of going where there's no color. And there's enough blue that it kind of is nice in creating this. And I'm kind of going in the same kind of direction here as the whale shark, just to create kind of this nice kind of sea feeling here. Undersea feeling. I'll add a little bit of this tannish color here. Yeah. Sea turtles, I love sea turtles. Just get a little bit, and I use a paper towel or Kleenex to kind of get this so that we can kind of get a nice feel. Now you can always color in, like I said. Feel free to go ahead and add color to your whale shark if you want, or continue on adding more pencil lines to it, creating more dimension. I love doing pencil sketches.